This is Janet Noble, the president of the Embroiderers Guild of America, and I now call this meeting to order. Kathy Melville, please call the roll.
President Janet Noble.
Here.
Vice President Marge Kelly.
Here.
Secretary Kathy Melville. Treasurer Jennifer Mullins.
Here.
Director of Education Celeste Chalasani.
Here.
Director of Marketing and Membership Beth Lindsay.
Here.
Director of Bylaws Kathy Weigl.
Here.
Region Directors Carolinas Region Carol Overton.
Here.
Great Lakes Region Wendy Lynn.
Here.
Greater Pacific Region Jacqueline Jenkins. Okay. Heartland Region Susan Ritter.
Here.
Metropolitan Region Maria Hall.
Here.
Mid-Atlantic Region Donna Pence.
Here.
Mid-Eastern Region Jean Hush.
Oh, here.
New England Region Sue Palumbo.
Here.
Pacific Southwestern Marilyn Evans.
Here.
Rocky Mountain Region Trudy Pacheco.
Here.
South Central Region Sandra Harwell. Sun Region Debbie Talley.
Here.
Tennessee Valley Region Vera Grimsley.
Here.
Our headquarters staff Cynthia Welch, Administrator. Rand Duran, Electronic Media Coordinator.
Here.
Tanya Parks, Membership and Financial Coordinator.
Here.
Ruth Bryan is our parliamentarian. Gwen Nelson, National Seminar Committee Director.
Here.
Linda Busalacchi, 2021 Chicago Seminar Committee Chair.
Thank you, Kathy. Now let me explain how this meeting is organized. The board of directors and a few others are live on Zoom. Everyone else is able to see and hear, but not to be seen or to be heard via YouTube live stream. We solicited questions from you, the membership, and will address these during the meeting. The meeting is being recorded and will be available to everyone via the EGA website afterwards. So, welcome to the first ever semi-annual update on the state of the Embroiderers Guild of America. We decided to do a semi-annual update after the overwhelmingly positive response to last September's first annual meeting conducted by Zoom and YouTube live stream. Unlike last September's annual meeting, today we are not voting on anything, so chapter presidents did not receive ballots or proxy forms. The annual meeting we hold next September will be a formal meeting to include ballots, proxy forms, and voting, and you shall receive notices and forms in the June timeframe. As you see here, I will start with the overall picture, and then you'll hear about specific topics before I present our vision for the future. We have collated the questions and issues you sent us, and many of them will be addressed along. And at the end, we will specifically cover any questions we didn't already answer. So, where are we now? Last September, I told you the board of directors decided to invest significantly in marketing and advertising in an attempt to increase our membership and to ensure EGA's continued success. We increased spending in 2019 and were rewarded in January of 2020 when we saw membership drop by only 3 members. This change had ranged between a drop of 160 to 333 members per year for each of the previous 5 years. As a result, last year we projected 2021's budget with a $300,000 deficit. However, we did this consciously with our eyes wide open and fully aware that this is a gamble and not a guarantee to improve our membership numbers. Now, notice, we had received the very generous inheritance from Gay Montague Phillips, and therefore we have a nice cash reserve of about $2.5 million. So we did not raise dues, conduct fundraising events, or increase your costs to participate in classes or events to cover our deficit. And we held our collective breaths. Unfortunately, COVID-19 hit and everyone and everything went into lockdown. Not surprisingly, but disappointingly just the same, in January of 2021, we did see a drop in membership by 167 members. At this time, however, we are not changing our course, i.e., we are continuing to focus on attracting new members and retaining current members by social media and advertising, and by providing more and more opportunities for those who love to stitch, to learn, to socialize, and to be inspired by embroidery, using virtual technology or in-person events as this becomes possible. When I was a child, someone asked me what my father did for a living. I replied, he answers the phone and signs his name. My husband, when asked what he did as a commander of a very active air base, explained, I don't really do anything, I just lend direction. Now, if you would substitute answer emails for answer the phone, my job pretty much falls in line with those two descriptions. I answer emails and I lend direction. I am now going to turn the floor over to EGA's officers and directors who actually do things. First up is Marge Kelly.
Thanks, Janet. Good evening, everyone. Before I start talking about what we've done this year, let me explain the role of the Vice President. I'm responsible for 3 areas, the first being the regions and the chapters, the second area being the national seminars, and the third area is our exhibit, Through the Needle's Eye. 2020, as Janet said, was a challenging year for all of us. We made it our mission to communicate, to pivot, but most importantly, to engage members while in quarantine. We did that in many ways, but the most impactful way was through the use of Zoom or Zoom-like technology. Early in the spring, we introduced Zoom to the regions and provided training to the RDs. We were available to any chapter for training, and we also held and supported chapters with Zoom meetings. I think that the most telling thing is numbers. I love to look at numbers. Currently, we have 180 chapters, or over 180 chapters. 73% of our chapters are using Zoom or Zoom-like technology. That translates into approximately 5,900 members having been on at least one EGA Zoom event. Now, I know for a fact that many chapters are using Zoom every month, so I don't know what the number is, but it's very, very high. I think it's great that we could reach so many members. I think when I was on the calls, these members were so happy to see each other. We realized, though, that some of our members are not comfortable using technology, but I know that some chapters are reaching out to their members who are not comfortable, either calling them or by sending them some snail mail. So we are trying to stay in touch and engage our members. You know, as you can imagine, we have a few people who really run with the technology, and a few of our members develop best practices and suggestions for Zoom classes, and they've been shared, and you can find all that. I think you can find some of those best practices on our website. I know you can. As you can imagine, like I said, we did do meetings, but we've also done stitch-ins, classes, lectures, and the most fun we've had is when we go to local needlework stores and do a Zoom walk, or I call Zoom shopping, through the stores. It's been terrific. We've supported our local needlework stores that way, and everybody has had a chance to see what's new. We worked with a new teacher and a needlework store and provided classes to the regions. And some are still scheduling that class, but to date, we've had 18 classes supported by the regions, and 2 more are scheduled. We've also been lucky enough to arrange some region type stitch-ins with international teachers, something we hadn't done before. And they weren't teaching, but they were talking about what they did. So Allison Cole came on and spoke to us, and Philippa Turnbull came on and spoke to us. Lastly, our focus this year was to help the regions transition their region seminars into virtual seminars. And it's been very helpful because we were able to work with each other and give some suggestions. Now on to 2021. My greatest hope is that we will be able to meet in person this year. I mean, I love technology and I love Zoom, but I really want to meet in person. It's so much fun when you get to touch and see what everybody's doing. If not, we'll support the regions with more Zoom. I'm happy to report that we are providing the regions with some funding for another region level class and region level lecture. So that's cool. You'll hear from Linda Busalacchi, and later with the questions, you'll hear from Gwen Nelson. But our team, with Gwen's direction, are working very hard on the Chicago seminar. They're planning for all contingencies. Again, our hope is that we'll be there in person, but if not, you heard from Janet before that we are going to have a seminar. It may be in person or it may be virtual. We're planning the exhibit Through the Needle's Eye, and you'll be hearing more about that later in the year. Of course, I'm working with my partner, Celeste Chalasani, on the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, which Celeste will talk about later in the presentation. And we support Beth, Lindsay, and her marketing efforts. I would like to introduce my good friend, Linda Busalacchi, who is the chair for the 2021 seminar, and she'll give us an update. Linda?
I'm here. Hi, everybody. We are looking forward to seeing you all in Chicago in September, but we do have plans in place to make a switch if we have to. The decision day is sometime in May, and we'll keep everybody posted on it. Open registration will begin on March 13th and run through June 15th. So if you haven't signed up, please do so. We still have classes open, although there are some that are completely full already. We are planning on lots of activities down there, and we will be listing tours, etc., very shortly. So I hope you'll all join us one way or the other, either in person or virtual. Thank you.
Now we have Beth. Lindsay?
Hi, everybody. As Janet mentioned earlier, 2020 was a bit of a wild ride. It was not exactly what we expected, but we were positioned to really hop on and do things electronically because we had so much activity planned already for social media. We were just positioned for people that were staying home and looking for new hobbies, and they were finding us out there on the internet, which was a wonderful thing. As you'll see, we have reached almost 1 million views on our website page views. We've reached 928,424 views, which I think is pretty impressive. All of our different social media channels, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, page views, followers are up. But with all that being said, as of the end of the year, our membership had decreased by 2% to 8,412. So what are we looking at this year in advertising? No, we are not still working with the increased budget. We have brought our budget back to years prior, and we measure everything that we do. So we have gotten rid of things that weren't producing anything for us. And we've really continued on with things that are doing things for us. As I mentioned, social media platforms. We have also started sponsoring podcasts with Gary Parr, Fiber Talk, and another podcast called Very Serious Crafts. New member kits will start being sent out this spring, And we hope to have some influencers such as Gary Parr doing some unveiling or, opening up on our new member kit live, just to create excitement and interest and let people know that, this is a new thing that's happening for us. We have our shop affiliate program, which is now live. In the first week, we had 3 shop owners already sign up. And we continue to search out existing EGA teachers as well as influencers, younger embroiderers, to do blog posts for us to create interest and to be interesting to younger members. And subscription box program is still in development. And I think next on our list is Celeste Chalasani, our Director of Education.
Thanks, Beth. So I have a lot of different programs that I want to update you all about. So first up is our collections. So early last year, Gwen Nelson organized our amazing Asian Fusion exhibit. We had our opening reception at the beginning of March, and then unfortunately COVID hit, and that has really limited our visits in person. But we did pivot, and but we have photos of most of the exhibit online, so you can still go online and see what's in the exhibit. For our publications, we released 2 new petite projects, 1 new technique basics document, and the complete landscape series by Karen Wohan. I've just signed the paperwork for a new petite project by Lorna Bateman, so you should see that coming out in the next few weeks. And I do want to mention that Carol Bernard, who is the chair of the publications program, she does need a volunteer. And if that's something you might be willing to help her with, you can reach her at publications@egausa.org. In our certification program, Scotty Erickstrup completed the Master Needlework Judge Certification Program. And we also have 4 new Master Craftsmen, Amy Remillard, Rosemary Denton, Susan Mondava, and Diana Shepard. And all of these certification programs take a long time and a lot of dedication. So I want to congratulate everyone for finishing these programs. We were able to hold 1 extended study program, the Uncommon Stitches in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, the second one had to be canceled because of COVID. Currently, we have 2 new extended study programs scheduled. The one that we had scheduled with Sam Norgard, we were able to change the dates from April to November. We've opened registration again. So if you're interested in doing that, you can go to the website and register for that. And then we have another one scheduled next year, next spring, with Deborah Merrick Wilson. In 2020, we released 3 new group correspondence course encores and 1 traditional group correspondence course. In total, we offered 38 GCCs by 22 teachers, which included offering 4 courses each quarter as a lightning round course. And overall, we had more than 1,000 members register for a GCC during the year. And already in 2020, we've already released 1 new group correspondence course. We still have 11 courses in development, and so hopefully we'll be releasing more later this year. In our individual correspondence courses, we released 2 new individual correspondence courses. One is Design for Needlework with India Hayford, and the other is Techniques for Canvas Embroidery with Diane Herman. We offered 11 courses and had 58 new registrations last year, including 7 students who completed an ICC. In our online studio program, in addition to the 2 continuing study courses that we had that were there at the beginning of the year, we ran 9 new online classes. And as you can see, we offered different techniques and different skill levels. And for 2021, Janice has scheduled just about one new class to run every month, including the 4 that you see here. Our newest program is the virtual lecture series. Now, we started this program at the end of the year, and 2020, our focus was on creating the infrastructure to run the program. And that includes making etiquette documents and procedures for how you run the meetings on Zoom. And currently we have lectures scheduled through September, including the 3 that you see here, one with Sarah Pedlow, one with Annette Gutierrez-Turk, and one with Diane Herman. Now, the feedback that I normally get on the virtual lecture series comes in just about 4 different areas. The first is, why do we have a limit of 100 people? Well, when we were first trying to set this up and working on a shoestring budget, we looked at our Zoom license and we had 100 participants limit on the Zoom license. So we set up our contracts that way. And actually talking to the different speakers in order to be able to have feedback with the participants, the speakers themselves prefer to have a limit of 100 people. And then also there's the budget constraints. If we were to increase the number of participants per lecture, not only would we have to pay more for a larger Zoom license, but we'd also have to prorate what we pay our speakers. So when I look at it in terms of, can we increase the limit from 100 to 300, I think it's more cost effective to add another lecture instead of trying to increase the number of people for one lecture. The next question I normally get is, why don't we record the lectures? Well, first off, the contracts that we have with our speakers don't allow us to record that. And I also look at it as a budget restraint, because if I wanted to record it, I would need to pay the speakers considerably more. And instead of only being able to hold one lecture and record it, I'd rather prefer to be able to run these lectures every month. Now, the third question is, why are all the lectures scheduled for Saturday? So first off, I want to apologize to our members who aren't able to participate on Saturday because of religious reasons. It wasn't our intent to preclude anyone from being able to participate. It wasn't something that was on my radar. We were thinking at that moment in time that there wouldn't be a perfect day or time that would work for every member. And so the contracts that we have right now are written for Saturday. However, we are working on adding a second lecture. And I promise you that when I am able to offer a second lecture, we will not have those on Saturday. And the last question that I get a lot is that you tried to register and it filled up before you had a chance to register. So what we're doing is, beginning for the April lecture, we're going to go to a lottery system. And what that means is we're going to leave registration open for a week, and everybody who registers during that week will go into lottery, and we'll pull the participants out of that, as well as the wait list. And first off, we think that will be a fairer way of saying who gets to go into the lecture, but it's also going to give us a better idea of how much demand there is. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the Technical Excellence Certification Program. This is a program that is currently under development. We've been working on it for a little over a year now. Our Counted Thread program began piloting February 1st, and the intent is to have it ready to debut in a year. We may have to reevaluate that timeline due to shortages. Like, all the distributors are having difficulty getting threads and linen and that kind of thing. Hopefully it won't, So hopefully in a year, we'll be able to debut it. The Canvas program, they're in the final stages of developing the steps, and we should be able to begin piloting it later this year. And then the beating and cruel programs are on hold right at this moment. And finally, I want to encourage everyone to enter the Golden Needle Awards. So the Golden Needle Awards are tied to seminar, and we are definitely having seminar in one way or another. So we're going to go ahead with the Golden Needle Awards. We want to see what your magnificent stitch is, and the deadline to enter is June 15th. And up next is Jennifer Mullins.
Thank you, Celeste. In 2020, I'm sure you all know, Seminar 2020 was canceled due to COVID, which resulted in a loss of $24,722. We also updated and revised the chapter financial guidelines and sent them out to all chapters and regions. The guidelines are also available on our website. You'll need to go in and log on, then go to Profile in the upper right-hand corner, then go to Document Downloads, and you'll find the guidelines there. And I want to stress this, please, if anyone has any questions about the guidelines, accounting, tax matters, notices from the IRS, notices from a state, do not hesitate to contact me. My email is treasurer@egausa.org, and I am happy to help with any questions you might have. In 2020, sorry, go back, please.
Sorry.
As part of the settlement of the Gay Phillips estate, we had received a 10-year note in the amount of $1,150,000. In November of 2020, that note was paid in full. The remaining balance was $950,000. That money was invested in certificates of deposit. And the 2020 preliminary net loss prior to external review was $302,801. Our budgeted net loss for 2020 was $279,166. So we were over budget by $23,635. And basically that was due to the loss on the Seminar 2020 being canceled. Okay, now you can go to the next slide. In 2021, the Board of Directors approved funds for the regions to have their financial processes reviewed by an external professional, and 2 or 3 regions have already taken us up on that offer. This is not to imply that anything is wrong. It is just to strengthen the controls we have in our financial area. We also revised our investment policy. As Janet mentioned, we have about $2.5 million now, thanks to the Gay Phillips estate, for investments. So the policy was revised to allow us the opportunity for that money to grow with taking a little bit more risk, but certainly nothing more than moderate risk for those assets. And the 2021 budgeted deficit continues EGA's investment in growing our membership. And now I'd like to introduce Kathy Weigl, our Director of Bylaws.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Bylaws. Bylaws is the way we document what it is we do. There are no changes to the bylaws, the national bylaws this time, because we only do that at the annual meeting. But what we have done is look at our policy. First, we did the chapter bylaws and region bylaws, which need to be updated periodically. There's a schedule on the website, and chapters and regions are notified when it's their turn. The point is to try to help them make sure that their bylaws are as consistent and comprehensive and current as is possible so that they're operating the way they should. And that goes very well. Last fall, we also had a major cleanup of our policies and procedures. We have many policies and procedures since we are a growing and dynamic organization, and they get outdated, and then new things come along, and we need to have the documentation match. We don't want to have it become an anachronism. So we have, main thing we did last fall was update the procedures for electronic meetings, which we had changed the bylaws at the fall meeting. And we expanded online offerings and did some editorial work. Next slide. This spring, we just finished adding more changes to the policies and procedures for the virtual lecture series, which Celeste told you about, and the teacher certification program, which went from an examination program to a teaching program, the affiliate programs for libraries and shops, and we have clarified the annotated sample chapter bylaws for that electronic meeting requirement. Later this year, you'll see some more amendments to the bylaws, which we'll vote on in the fall. If you find something when you're looking through the policies and procedures, which are on the document downloads, please let me know, because they are big documents and things sit there and you just don't notice that they really aren't right. So let me know by emailing me at bylaws@egausa.org. And now here is our secretary, the other Kathy Melville.
Thank you, Kathy. As secretary, my role remains the same, taking and keeping track of meeting minutes. I also facilitate all our motions. Next is Celeste talking about diversity.
So first, before we talk about diversity, I want to reaffirm EGA's mission is to inspire passion for the needle arts through education and the celebration of its heritage. All members are welcome, regardless of age, gender, race, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. So in 2020, what we were able to do in terms of our initiative is the EGA board first participated in 2 diversity training sessions. We formed a DEI committee of volunteers, and we developed the virtual lecture series. We were also able to ask program chairs within the education department to develop and offer culturally diverse embroidery technique courses and classes. So you'll see that particularly with some of the classes that come up, such as in online studios. Now, the board just approved a proposal for 2021. So with the help of our DEI consultant, our goal is to first thoughtfully and respectfully survey our membership to better understand who we are. So running a survey is going to give us a baseline to not only tell us what our demographics are, but it's going to tell us something more about what type of embroidery our members like to do and what type of skill level that we're at. Secondly, we want to learn how to be more inclusive and provide an environment where all our members feel respected, where they feel like they can connect with our goals and feel that their contributions matter. And finally, we need to develop a long-term strategy to recruit and retain members who reflect the diversity of our communities. And I think we go back to Janet.
So where do we go from here? Well, last year we were faced with the seemingly unsurmountable obstacle of the pandemic and the subsequent shutdown. So we took just a moment to regret the loss of the 2020 national and regional seminars. And I promise you, no one regretted that loss more than I do. But after that moment's pause, we focused on those things that EGA provides that we want to preserve and to promote. We love to learn. We love to socialize with our like-minded friends. We love to gain inspiration by seeing what others are doing. And along the way, we learned a lot that will benefit EGA. First of all, we learned that virtual technology is not evil. it actually benefits a lot of members who are able to do things now that were previously financially unfeasible, such as take classes, look at an exhibit, hear a lecture, visit a shop, because we've eliminated a lot of the expense of travel. Whenever would I be able to visit Alison Cole's shop in Australia without spending a dime? And I did that this year. We also learned that virtual technology benefits a lot of our members who, because of many reasons, cannot physically attend their chapter events. Either they are physically incapable of getting out, they don't like to drive at night, or they've moved away to another part of the country, but they have now discovered that they can reconnect with their friends on screen. Teachers are benefiting from the virtual technology because, first of all, we are able to now give them an avenue to earn revenue. And when they teach a virtual class with 100 students, they're usually paid by the student, which will bring them a larger reimbursement than when they teach a class that is filled with 25 physically present students and they're paid by the day. And another benefit that we picked up along the way is that EGA has now learned a whole lot more about how to prepare a contract with a big ticket vendor like a hotel, that those contracts they are now better able to protect our organization in the event something unforeseen happens. We had relied a lot on that phrase force majeure, but we now know that needs to be better written. And as you heard earlier, we are going to hold the Chicago seminar next September in person. However, we are making plans to go virtual or to some type of hybrid format. We are going to hold the seminar one way or another. There are several variables which may drive this decision one way or the other. On the one hand, infection rates and mortality statistics are improving in many parts of the nation as more and more people develop better immunity due to being vaccinated or by surviving the infection. On the other hand, however, mutations are cropping up in the virus, and these open questions about whether the current vaccine will protect against them as well, or whether they need to develop a new vaccine and disseminate that. The same uncertainty, and as you heard earlier, that we will be making that decision in the May timeframe. And the same uncertainty is true for the planned regional seminars. Again, what we know is that our emphasis will be on actually holding the event, even if we have to adapt our methodology. We know it can be done, and we know we're smart enough to figure it out. We firmly believe that expanding diversity in marketing will be key to improving EGA's ability to attract a wide range of potential members. Once we catch their eye, we believe improving technology and expanding opportunities will help us attract and then retain members. So while the future holds many, many unknowns, we are committed to making the Embroiderers Guild of America as adaptive as we need to be successful. In response to our request for questions, you sent us a total of 51 questions. We organized them by topic so that we could group similar questions together. The first group of questions concerned the 2021 Chicago seminar, so I'm going to turn the screen back over to Marge Kelly.
Thanks, Janet. I think we had 5 questions here. I would like to name who sent them in, and then I'll try to group them together. Teresa Faber, Barbara Haberkorn, Karen Sell, Sue Bangert, and Rabel Fagelson. And we may have answered these already, but I'll be fast, so I'm going to answer them again. Is EGA considering making the Chicago seminar virtual and not face-to-face? Well, our hope is that it's going to be face-to-face, but as we said, Gwen and her team are planning all of the contingencies in the event we have to do it virtually. I'm looking for assurance that this seminar will be held as planned in September. Cannot assure you that, but we can assure you that it will be held in person or virtually. What was pre-registration like? Was it strong? And I'm going to say and Gwen Nelson can back me up here. I think that it's pretty good. The pre-registration is pretty good. And we're starting the regular registration in a couple of days. So we're hoping that we'll have a good attendance. When will the decision be made? And as Linda Busalacchi said, we're looking at mid-May to make that decision. Will there be enough time for people to change their travel reservations? You know, I'm hoping there will be enough time. And if you are working with any of the airlines right now, they're not having any change fees. So I think we'll be okay, because that's a few months before. So then the next question I'm gonna ask Gwen to answer, which is, under what circumstances will the Chicago National Seminar be canceled or delayed? Will it occur if COVID-19 vaccines are not available to everyone at least 8 weeks before? Is there enough time for a 50-year-old to get shots? And when will the decision be made to cancel or delay the seminar? So go ahead, Gwen.
Okay, right now we have 362 people. Someone asked that question, and that's the one that Marge was answering, that have registered for seminar 2021. That number may be a little bit lower than what we've had, but we think that's a very good number considering all that we've gone through in 2020. So we're very, very pleased at the 362 number. Briefly, this was not the question, but people have been concerned also about the hotel, Chicago, going to Chicago. In Chicago, the hotel has been closed. It opens up April the 15th. That's a good sign. And also their positivity rate right now for COVID-19 is down to 2.9%. That's remarkable. That's the lowest number they've had since the pandemic began. So that's very positive. Now, for the answer to the questions I was giving, under what circumstances would be canceled or delayed? Those words are not in our vocabulary. We're having the seminar. I don't know how many people have said that tonight. So I think it's pretty obvious we are having a seminar. It may not be face-to-face, but if it's not, we will have a virtual seminar. The teachers right now are working on two aspects of the seminar. They're working on having it in person, but at the same time, they're working on their plans to have a virtual seminar. So the teachers will be ready by the time September 1st gets here. The part about the vaccine for healthy 50-year-olds, I wish I could promise you, I know they're lowering the age all the time, and according to whoever happens to be making a decision on television, it sounds like it could be today. You would get it, just run out now and get it. But we know that's not always possible. But hopefully by that time, you will have had your vaccine. The other question, again, when will the decision be made to cancel or delay? We're not doing either one of those. That's not the issue. The issue is, will it be in Chicago or will it be virtual? And again, by May 31st, we will have that answer, we hope, earlier. Last year, we were able to announce it earlier, but as things improve, everything looks more positive. And I think those were all your questions, and that was from Raven. Thank you very much, Raven. I think it goes now to Beth.
Well, thanks, Gwen. We have diversity as the next topic, and it's for Beth, Celeste, and me. So the first one is Beth. No, Beth, you're on mute.
There we go. Sorry about that. I'm going to take a few questions all together. These questions are from Raven Fagelson, Sue Bangert, and I'm going to say right now, I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name, Pam Bethune, and Helen Osipov. All of these questions relate to how we are marketing to younger embroiderers, how we're trying to bring them into the organization. Specifically, how can chapters and regions reach out to these folks through social media? Do we have any best practices for that? And what to do if you see people on Facebook that you would like to reach out to bring them into the organization. So I'm going to start with what we're currently doing through marketing. We have the Needle Network newsletter, which is a newsletter that started to go out to non-members so that we can continue to follow up with people and entice them to become members. I know that many existing members requested to get this newsletter, and they do also receive it now. But there is a lot of focus in that newsletter to build content focused at younger folks, certain projects, news articles about embroidery. We also have blogs where we try to have bloggers come in and talk about beginner level embroidery. We focus on free projects in some cases. And we also continue with posting organic social media posts every month with relevant projects, trends, and articles in embroidery. In all that time, we're also promoting EGA membership events that we have going on, classes and free projects to try to entice people to join. We also use social media channels such as Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. We find, especially with Pinterest and Instagram, because they're such a visual types of marketing, that it really is very good for us. And we monitor who is following us so that we can optimize what we're posting and target people in certain age categories. In addition to that, people have asked, what are some social media practices that they can use at a region chapter level to reach out to people? You know, in building a social media message, it's really important that you schedule things out and that you're consistent with your posting. We obviously work with an ad agency to do this for us. And there's nothing wrong with following what we're posting. Share it on your region Facebook page, on your region Instagram page. It's all really good, solid content. It's been researched. And the more that we reach out and share, it's like that very old commercial about, and then, you know, they told two friends who told two friends. So the more that we can get that message out there, the better off we are. And someone asked me, you know, they see a lot of younger embroiderers on Facebook, and how do they entice them to bring them in? There's nothing wrong with reaching out. You know, social media is all about engagement and communicating with people. If you see somebody out there and they're asking questions about how do they do something, where do they find things, there's nothing wrong with hopping on, commenting it, and saying, hey, I'm a member of the Embroiderers Guild. Here's our website. Check us out. You know, there are many people there that can help you out. So continue to share all that information with people and just get the word out that we exist and what we're all about.
Okay. Celeste, there are 3 questions for us, one from Raven Fagelson, one from Shirley Chin, and one from Diane Clark. Do you want to take them?
Sure. So all these questions talk about what are we doing to increase diversity in EGA? And I did go over what our plan is for 2021 earlier. So we are working on developing strategies. I do want to set expectations. These things aren't going to happen overnight. And primarily that's because we need to move forward carefully and respectfully, because we don't want to offend the communities that we're trying to draw new members from. You have anything else to add, Marge?
No, I think they talked about leadership and how are we going to change the leadership to be more diverse. And, you know, leadership, the source of people who take leadership roles are the people who are in the chapters, right? So we need to work on our strategy to make sure that we have enough people who are coming in the pipeline who could take those roles who are diverse.
Marge, can I interject something here, please?
Certainly.
I've said this to the board this week. The gateway to a more diverse board is at the chapter level. When people come to your chapter meetings or approach you at public stitch-ins, if they are not made to immediately feel welcome and included, they're not going to stay with us. They're not going to join us, and they're not going to stay to us. So the gateway to a more diverse leadership picture is at the chapter level.
Right.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. So I think, Celeste, you're next with 2 education questions.
Okay, so the first one is from Marjorie Sink, and she's asking, where are we with Technical Excellence Certification Program? And like I said earlier, we've just started piloting the Counted Thread program, and I hope to have the Canvas program, have them finish up developing the steps and start doing the piloting on that program later this year. The second question is from Shirley Chin, and she asked, can we have more classes online? So right now we have just about one new class starting every month. And talking to Janice Myers, who's the chair, it's going to be a little problematic to start more than one per month. Right now, the staff at headquarters is down 1 person. So I don't think we want to try to increase that to more than 1 per month until headquarters is fully staffed. But that's something definitely we could look at later on.
Okay. Beth, there's one question here that I know you answered in your presentation, but it's from Kim Graham, and it's what's happening with the subscription boxes mentioned last year, but maybe you want to take that?
We have not forgotten them. They're still in process. It really is, it's quite an involved process, but we are still working diligently on bringing those to fruition.
Okay. Janet, I'm handing this back to you for membership, some membership questions, and then we have Beth and myself in there as well.
Okay, I have a question from Connie Fudge. Hi, Connie. I hope you're listening or watching. Connie asks for a detailed breakdown of membership to say, you know, who's where, what time are they, primary chapters, members at large, youth, lifetime, etc. She also is asking to see participation numbers in courses like group correspondence courses and so forth. And there is, okay, I'm going to tell everybody this because I did not know this. If you will open the EGA website, that's egausa.org, and you scroll down on any page of the website at the bottom and look for some little white letters in the lower left corner of your screen, there are 3 columns. The middle column is called About, and under About, there is Annual Report. I didn't know this document existed. I'm sorry, Leslie and Gwen, I know y'all put a lot of work into them, but I did not know those things were there. And if I saw them, I went, what's that got to do with me? And then 2 years ago, somebody said to me, who's doing the annual report now? And I kind of went, annual report? And my first question is, what is it? And why are we doing it? And after we did a little bit of research, we found out that if an organization wishes to apply for a grant, one of the things they have to produce is an annual report, which tells the reader everything there is to know about that organization. Well, I said, well, we're not applying for grants, so we don't need to do it. And then somebody like Marge said, well, what if we want to apply for a grant in the future? And I also thought, you know what, it makes sense to put everything in one place so it's easy to find. So I said, okay, I'll do this. So I sat down 2 years ago and I wrote the first of my annual reports, and it has everything in it. It is jam-packed with information. So if you will go on page 7, you'll find statistics for the membership. On page 7, you'll see on page 7, you'll see statistics for all the educational programs for the past 6 or 7 years. On page 16, you'll find the statistics for all the national seminars going back years. So for example, where was it? How many people came? Did we make a profit? It is extremely informative. Now, Diane Clark sent a similar question. Can you share some of the numbers with how membership is trending for the past 5 to 10 years? Annual report on page 23 of the 2019 annual report. It will show you the statistics for the last, 6 or 7 years. And after this week's meetings, I probably won't do this tomorrow, but I'll probably take a day off. But starting next week, my next priority is to collate the 2020 annual report. I can't do it before this week because I needed all the information that comes in from all the different reports. That's where that and all the information coming from Needle Arts Magazine, and there's a ton of stuff that feeds the information. It will all be put together in the 2020 annual report. And when it is done and approved by everybody, I will have Rand Duran put it on the website, and we will tell the world 2020 is up there. The next question is a Beth question, and I'm going to hand it to her.
Okay, and I think you are referring to the question that came from Karen Sell,
Yes.
S-E-H-L. She's asking how many members have been retained, or do we know how many members were retained since COVID-19 hit? We do know that last May we had a little over 1,200 lapsed members. What we don't know is how many people of that 1,200 came in late renewals. My guess is probably quite a few because that tends to be how our membership tracks each year. It is one of my projects to get into our software for this and sit down and start to pull some reporting on this and understand a little more solidly and specifically on numbers where we stand. She also asked if we're tracking how people heard of us when they do join. And yes, we are. We had added that as a question for the MALs when they buy their membership online. And I've also since had it added to the new member form that is filled out by the membership chairs at the chapter level so that we can start to compile that information, understand where that stands. But there is a breakdown of those numbers in my board report, which I don't have in front of me. I'm sorry. But I would say at this point, we're kind of running 50-50 against heard from a friend versus heard through any internet social media channels. If you take all three of those things and put them together, that's the other 50%. So I think that's it for that question.
The next
So
one's
the
9.
next one is a Marge question. yes.
Right, and it's from Darlene LeBoeuf. And it's, do you have an update on the changes to the youth membership program mentioned at the last meeting? We've made some progress, not a lot. There's a lot to be done here. We've done some, Wendy Lynn, the GLR RD, and a couple of folks have looked at what was done, what's on the website. The website was a bit kludgy and didn't provide appropriate information. So we put it into an under construction mode. And Wendy and her team are looking at, over the next few months, doing a bit more. It was tough to gather some of the information here, but to develop the clarification on what the membership category would look like, to formally understand, because, you know, times have changed. And there are a lot of different legal requirements that we have to have in place that we didn't have before, dealing with youth, and we think youth over the internet and using Zoom. So we have to work with our legal team on that, develop a curriculum and a strategy to teach the members, and then deploy this stuff out to our membership and chapters. So I wish I could say we did more, but we did a lot of investigation. And there's more to come on this. I know Wendy and her team are very excited about this. The next one is for Celeste, and that would be the virtual lecture series. And you have a couple of questions there, Celeste.
Right, so my first question is from Miriam Khan, and she's asking why the entire Zoom lecture series is on Saturdays. And first off, I'll say I'm sorry, it wasn't on our radar when we were deciding what day to set it on. But I will say we're learning and we're going to do better. And we're looking at adding another day of lecture series, and those won't be on Saturday anymore. There were also some questions from Violet Anderson, Vivian Wilson, and Patricia Mims asking if we could increase each lecture to more than 100. I think we would be better off and serve our members better to add a second lecture every month as opposed to increasing to each lecture to more than 100. Not only because it'll be more cost effective, but then it'll let more of our members who can't participate on Saturday participate in a second lecture.
Celeste, can I interject?
Sure.
When she says a second lecture, she means a repeat of the first lecture. Same
Correct.
speaker, same topic, different day of the week.
Exactly.
Celeste, one other thing is we just approved funding for each region to do a lecture, and you willingly stated that you would help the regions work with these teachers who are doing these lectures. So I think that's a great thing. That's another way to get these lectures out to more people.
Yes, exactly. So I think up next is Through the Needle's Eyes.
And that's me. Okay, and we have 3 questions, 2 from Betty Kelly and 1 from Sue Fasoles. I hope I said her name correctly. Who made the decision to have the show only be online? Seems like it's better to be up close and personal. Going virtual may be a way to expand it, but it's easier if you're there, and I agree. But and I've heard that Through the Needle's Eye exhibit will be virtual. So let me give you a little background. 2018 or 2017 in Asheville, we got a recommendation from the team. That was the kickoff of the current Through the Needle's Eye. We got a recommendation from that team to look at this whole thing because it is a ton of work. And first of all, not a lot of people submitted entries, and it went to 4 sites over the time frame, the 3 years. So the best guess we could see is like maybe 700 people saw this. That's a high number. So we asked Georgianne Lane to look at this, and I've been working with her because, what we want to do is try to get more people and more submissions, and we want to get more people to see it. And so what we came up with was the thought process that we could do this virtually, and we could get all of the submissions virtually. Then we could do it virtually, and then we could get more. If we drummed up more business and got a lot of hype for this, we could have more pieces in it. So we also said, well, we could also have an in-person display. And we thought, oh my God, what about the way Asian Fusion is being done at the head office? So that's how the decision was made. And the purpose is not to not have it in person, but you can't move it around. It's not, the regions are having a difficult time finding places. It's very expensive. So we figured this was a best way to do it. And so we're working on the plan for it. And I think it's going to be very, very nice. And if you look at any of the other exhibits that museums have where you can rotate the picture, you can see the back of it. This is what we're looking to do. We're looking to do a very high quality visual for the virtual exhibit with a virtual opening in Boston. So the next is operations, and that is Ran Duran. And is that right? Ran Duran and a couple other people, Celeste, Beth, and Janet.
Hi, everybody. Going to answer some of the questions that we had specifically dealing with the website. The first one is from Mary Wilmot, and she is asking about a section on the website that features chapter and region funded fundraising efforts. At the moment, whenever we get articles like that, we post those to the blog, and they fall under the fundraising category. At the moment, to access that, you can go to any individual blog post on the website by going to egausa.org/blog. And on the side, you're going to see a categories drop down. There is a categories there for fundraising. And I would like to use this opportunity to tell the chapters, please send me all of those fundraising activities that you have, because we would love to let other members know. And that's where you will see them too. But I agree, we would love to bring them out. And as we get more, we're going to showcase them more on the website. The second question is by Teresa Frank, and it has to do with the website speed. I'm happy to report that just recently, at the beginning of the year, we increased the speed on the website by upping up the web server that we were using. This increased our CPU, this increased our storage and our RAM as well. So that means that a lot of the things that had to be in place for the website to speed up and work better for you and have a faster response time, we have been working on that. If you continue to have issues, let me know, because this is something, our website is something that we're always working on. I'm always making updates and changes and looking at things that can be better, and we would love to hear any feedback on that. And the third question I have is from one of our teachers, Marge Mickler, and it has to do with difficulties accessing our online platform where the classes are, where our online classes take place. We are currently working on some updates for that, because we have heard through the surveys that we have some students that have had issues. And while we send direct links for the lessons and all that, there can be issue finding the groups or finding where is it that you need to post for your teacher to be able to answer. So we are currently working with our website agency, and they are looking into upgrading that system, adding a search box to discussion groups so you can search by word and find a post by the teacher. We're also looking into adding something that you can filter posts so you can see the posts that are by the teacher, that we also can feature posts and take the posts that are by the teacher or posts by another student that will impact everyone. We can feature it and let everybody know. So those are some of the things that we're working on for that specifically. And also we're working on just making everything easier for members to get to. That's part of a recent update that we did on our website. Once you log in, you will see that the members only category on the navigation will come alive for you once you log in. If you're not logged in, you will only see login there. But once you log in, you can see your projects, your publications, you can see everything that we have for members directly there for you. And if you have any issues logging in, I'm the person to help you, so let me know. And I'll let the next person, who is Celeste, Beth, sorry.
That's okay. So the next question is from Darlene LeBoeuf. And she said, I believe in a previous meeting, we had mentioned online payment processing as a future enhancement. And would this be something that could be used at chapter and region levels? I think what you might be referring to is, at our last meeting, I did receive a question about, would chapters and regions be able to, or chapters primarily, be able to pay dues through our website. And at the time I said that really is not a possibility, because the problem is when your chapter members are paying dues, they're not just paying national dues, they're also paying regional and chapter dues. So if that was paid directly to national, we would then have to sort out the money and pay those dues back, which isn't really a feasible process. And it would be the same thing as far as being able to have chapter and region levels using this to pay for programs, seminars, and so on. But what I did mention at the time that I would love to see more chapters doing, and more regions as well, you can set up with your bank account and have people pay you through PayPal. If you're really adventurous, you could also have them pay you through Venmo. But this is something you need to set up and have linked to your bank account for your region or for your chapter. Oh, and I'm sorry, I believe the next question is
Janet.
for Janet.
Is for me. And the next question is not actually a question. It is a request from Beate Lease, who is the chairperson of the outreach program. And she is asking that region directors please stress with their region outreach chairs and even with chapter outreach chairs that it is extremely important that they send any information when they change officers to her, because she relies on a mailing list to the region and the chapter outreach chairs to get the information she needs. She compiles for her report. And when that mailing list is out of date, then it creates an intensely frustrating situation for her. So I have relayed the request. I'm going to turn to Jennifer now because we have a couple of questions concerning finances.
Thank you, Janet. The first question is from Joan Chapin. She asks, how much money did we lose from the cancellation of National at Boston? Between printing costs and other necessary items, how much was spent telling everyone that the event was canceled and returning all money to each person that had already paid? Joan, as you seminars, the planning and spending for seminars start 3 years before the event actually occurs. And so by the time seminar was canceled, it had incurred about $24,722 in expenses. And that included all the printing costs and the cost to notify everyone that it had been canceled. So, next question is from Darlene LeBeouf. She is asking if there's a document in the chapter region financial guidelines, which is a banking guidance that is designed to help chapters and regions either open bank accounts or make changes to their bank accounts. And she's asking if that can be done on National's letterhead so that it could be submitted to banks. And yes, that certainly can be done. And I will do that and get it up on the website probably this coming week. And next question is from Debbie Cox. And she asked, do you have any guidance regarding performing financial audits virtually? Our books are kept in Quicken, but all backup is in paper. I know that many chapters and regions have an audit committee, and the problem is having them meet in person because of COVID. And one suggestion that you might do is split up the duties. Have one person look at deposits and the related documentation, have another person look at the expenses, have another person look at the bank reconciliations, and then write up a summary of what you found, merge all those reports together and use that to report to your board. And also oftentimes Quicken files or QuickBook files can be emailed to different people so that they can check the paper documentation to the Quicken records. And again, any questions, please contact me, treasurer@egausa.org. And the next question is for Janet.
I'm going to answer two questions at once. They're quite similar. One is from Jean Hupch and one is from Carolyn Dowling. Is EGA considering any adjustment to dues for 2021, 2022 because of COVID? And has any consideration been made to adjusting dues at the national, regional, or local level? At the national level, we are not planning on changing dues. We have not increased the dues since 2013, but we are not planning on decreasing the dues now, because even though COVID is still out there and still causing a lot of problems, the work of EGA at the national level has actually increased this year in order to make more opportunities more accessible to all of you. Now, regions and chapters control their dues independently of national dues, and regions and chapters may decide to reduce or cancel their dues. I know of one region that has already made the decision that they will not charge their region members dues to the region. She did not know what the individual chapters within her region were going to do. So that is a decision that is made at all three levels. I can only speak to the national level. The national level is working harder than ever, and we still need the funds, as you've heard all along, in order to create and broadcast programs for you. I am going to encourage that chapters watch their regional, their local communities' guidelines, and look at what else they can be doing for their members. Already we have 70+% of our chapters are using Zoom to meet, and we can provide training and hand-holding and assistance with any other chapter or region that would like to go that route. And again, watch your community's guidelines. I do know that there are chapters that are meeting in person. My personal chapter has started meeting in person. We're in a large enough room where we can sit socially distanced. But as soon as you can meet in person, I do encourage you to do so. So that should answer both questions from Jean and Carolyn. My next two questions are coming from Krista Shook and Rachel Nazarian. And I think they're related. And when I first read these questions, my first reaction was, what? And so I started digging, and I learned something that is what I'm going to share with you now. The questions that I received from Rachel was, do you have any information why the EGA, the EG UK, the Embroiderers Guild of the United Kingdom, is failing? And Krista Shook, bless your heart, Krista, do you need more money? Are we okay? And that, as I said, that raised my eyebrows because I did not know what they were talking about. And I went on the internet and I started digging, and I found that there is, in fact, a situation that is going on in England that I was totally unaware of. So I'd like to provide some background information here for those of you who I may be flashing. The Embroiderers Guild of the United Kingdom is, as we speak, holding a membership-wide vote, a mail-in vote, to choose between two options. If you are voting, you are either going to vote for, one, to separate the regions and branches and maintain a strictly pared down head office structure dedicated to the charity and the collection, or if you vote the other way, if you vote that down, if the noes win, then the Embroiderers Guild of the United Kingdom will disband entirely, as it is no longer able to keep going as a going concern. And all the guild assets, to include their collection, will be disposed. Now, the deadline for the mail-in votes is next Wednesday, the 10th of March. Everything has to be postmarked by the 10th, so they may not get all of their votes in until the 11th or 12th, depending on the mailing system. So no one's going to know the outcome of this question until later next week. If you're interested in learning more about it, you can go to their website, which is embroiderersguild.com. No caps, no spaces. And when you go there, click on General Meeting 2021. You will be able to find a lot of documents, a lot of question and answers, and some very informative videos. So first of all, let me say how very sad I am for everyone who is being caught up in this position, in this situation. And secondly, the Embroiderers Guild of the United Kingdom is structured in a totally different way from our organization. For example, in the Embroiderers Guild of UK, all of the monies, nationals money, regional money, and branch, that's their word for chapter money, that is all considered as one lump sum. So when the Embroiderers Guild of UK reports their financial status, they are reporting on all three categories of money as one sum. In contrast, what we do is we consider the monies to be the monies that are in the regions banks and the monies to be in the chapters banks. They are your monies. They are not accessible by national. We consider our monies in our national banks to be one account. Regions have their own accounts, and chapters have their own accounts. I can assure you, however, that all of us on the board and in headquarters are committed to doing absolutely everything within our power to prevent something similar from happening to EGA. And as response to, do you need money? I'm not going to ever turn down a donation. We do get a lot of, we do depend a lot on your donations, and I'm not going to discourage anybody from donating money to the EGA, but we're not destitute at this time. I can tell you that pretty confidently. And I have a third question here from Diane Clark. What is expected post-COVID? I don't know. We want to get back to normal as soon as possible, and that means stitching and socializing and enjoying classes in person. When is that going to happen? I don't know. I have a last question from Tamara Johannes. How can we recognize the changes that COVID has made to our chapters and to our organization as a whole? Well, we have, as I said earlier, we have learned so much on how to use virtual technology, and we are now able to bring more educational experiences to more of our members. And this allows us to continue to learn and to socialize with local friends, but also with our international friends much more easily than we could before. This new methodology of learning and sharing through virtual technology is not going to end when the pandemic ends. We have learned so much that EGA will continue to offer opportunities for learning and socializing, and maybe even on a grander scale, after the world returns to normal. And so I am now going to ask Marge if we have a spy on the YouTube live stream. Are we getting any questions?
So let me just give you a couple of pieces of information. One, we have an MAL in Australia who sent us a note, which I will read. And we have had, just so that you know, we've had over 210 people on the call, which is excellent for a Saturday evening. So this is from Dorothy Koo, and she said, please thank all of you for the welcome experience of a lesson in Canvas work last year. Such an excellent way to join international groups to share the joy of stitching through digital media. Great work. And I'm so appreciative of the fact that we have somebody on the other side of the world sending us a note and listening to us. I think it's terrific.
Do we have any questions?
No, we did not. Let me just check one more thing. No, we don't have any questions.
I would like to thank all of you for joining us tonight. And please, if you if we didn't answer a question that you were waiting to hear the answer for, or if you thought of a question while we were talking, please email it to us. When you go to the website, there's a contact us at the bottom of every website, every page that you can send it to us. Rand will be tidying this up, making us all look good, and he will post the recording of this hour-and-a-half session on our website, just like he did last September. So if you want to view it again, you want to hear something again, see something again, we ask you to do like you did last September. Share it with your chapter members. Say, hey, watch this. I heard of some chapters that use the September recording as their chapter meeting, which is a brilliant way to do it. But we would like to get as many people as possible to watch the video and learn more about us. And so, goodbye, and we hope to see you in person soon.